All right, hey everybody, welcome to session 4 of the free PNCC mini series. I just went live the other day and I told you guys I will be coming back and we're gonna play around with real numbers to see what your goals are and how PNCC can make that happen. And so tonight I'm going to talk about your roadmap to six figures, whether you have a goal of six figures in 6 months or six figures in a year, six figures in 36 months. We're going to talk about that. And maybe your goal is not six figures, but this session specifically is about how you can earn income with PNCC. So just imagine this time next year, it is still summer, but kind of getting kind of chilly, almost fall, which is my favorite time of the year, my favorite season. And what if this time next year you are making $15,000 a month? And that is possible when you have your PNCC agency. You're making 15,000 plus a month, helping moms and babies thrive. I want you to think about, I don't know if any of you guys watch the news. I watch the news. And so if you do watch the news, I'm pretty sure you heard about recently the kids that were found in the storage unit at a storage facility. I don't remember which one it was, but they found I think it was four or five kids in a storage unit, the youngest one being about maybe 2 months old. And I bring that up to say that this mom could have been a PNCC client. She could have been working with you or somebody in your company. I read in the article that she said they're homeless. She and the father was sleeping in the car. The kids were actually sleeping in the unit. Now, I can't say if this is true or not, just going by what I read. But this actually pulled at my heartstrings because I just thought she could have been a client. Somebody in the PNCC world agency could have gone and helped her with resources in the community because there are so many resources out there and a lot of moms don't know about these resources. So your agency is waiting for you. Your people, your person who you're supposed to be working with is waiting for you. The person who your contractors should be working with, they're waiting for you and they're waiting and you don't know what can be happening. And not that it's anybody's fault. I just want to put that out there. I'm just saying people are waiting for us to do our God-given gift. And the longer we wait to do these things, they can suffer. And so who knows if she was a PNCC client, but she could have been, especially since her baby was 2 months old. And so you would, with this agency, be making money, building a legacy for you and your family, and also out in the community, helping changing lives of the women with kids. So tonight we're going to talk about how PNCC can make this vision your reality through consistent, reliable Medicaid reimbursement. Because remember, we get paid through Medicaid. So I totally understand where everybody is. I know that this process can be very overwhelming. If you were here 2 nights ago, I talked about myself where I started off as an actual participant in PNCC. I was a pregnant mom. And from there, once I gave birth to my daughter, I became a case manager. Then I became a program manager. Then I became an agency owner. Then I became a coach. And so I've been where you are thinking about opening this business, thinking about saving the lives or changing the lives of women out there in the community. Again, just thinking about the mom that was just out there who was homeless and didn't have anywhere for her kids to go. And my heart breaks for situations like that. How can I help? How can my agency help? How can we help? And so that's the main reason I opened my business to help moms out there. Most women who are entrepreneurs, we do what we do to give the support to individuals so that they either don't go through what we went through, we provide the support we wish we would have had, etc. So I opened because I appreciate the support I had with my third child. Wish I would have had that support the first two kids. And so I wanted to be that support for other moms. So I understand wanting to get out into the community and help the women um, change their lives. So, where most providers or people get stuck with wanting to open this business, I see a lot of women who take a lot of time, whether it's 6 months, years, I've seen years, just doing research, trying to figure out where to find the information, trying to read the handbook, trying to understand it, trying to move forward. And it's hard. It's hard to piece all the information together. It can be confusing, especially if you read that handbook. You got bits and pieces all over the place. And so a lot of women get stuck in just research and they research for years, but never move forward. I also see women get stuck when it comes to misinformation. And hopefully by now you've seen the videos in school where the first one is who can open a PNCC agency. And so I did a very intense video on who can open this business because of the misinformation that's out there. Most people think I need a nurse. It would be nice to have a nurse, but the nurse, if you do have a nurse, she needs a certain qualification to or experience in her background, and it needs to be on her resume. So there is a lot of misinformation that's out there. If you have not seen the video, who can open a PNCC, make sure you go check that out. It's in the school app and it's under classrooms. So go see who can open a PNCC. And then lastly, that I have listed here. Of course, there's more, but this is where women get stuck, wasting the approval window. And so when you put the application in, there's months in between from when you're submitting to actually being approved. What are you doing in that window to make sure that when you are approved, you're going to get off the ground, right? Like, what do you do as soon as they say you're approved? How are you going to go about building your systems and getting clients and getting referrals and things like that? That should be done in the approval window. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. So those are the three areas that I see most of women getting stuck and not being able to move past because they're a little overwhelmed. So 2 days ago, our last session, we talked about the three different lanes of PNCC. You can start off as a subcontractor. You can do solo provider, agency owner. We're going to talk about income potential for all three lanes. If you did not see that video, that's also in the school app. But subcontractor is when you're working under somebody else's established agency and you're getting a percentage of the like the work that you do, you're getting a percentage of the pay. Sole provider is you open your own agency and you're the only case manager. You're working with clients and you're building it at your own pace. Full autonomy is yours. Autonomy is yours. Um, it's just you. You don't have to worry about paying anybody. You don't have to worry about anything. Just how many clients do you want, and you stick to that, and you grow from there. And then agency owner is when you start to hire, and you no longer are the case manager. You decide to hire case managers. You decide to hire program managers, so that you scale your what you do on a day-to-day basis back and you grow the business and you let your contractors do the actual work with clients. So we'll talk about what that looks like based on whichever lane you choose to go. So the real timeline, and actually there's even time before application is submitted, right? I've seen people, again, like I said, wait years to actually put their application in. I've seen people wait so long that when the rules change of PNCC back in 2023, they waited so long and they no longer qualify. So we don't want that to be you. We know that changes were made in 2023. There are rules and qualifications as far as who can open this. Let's not wait any longer. If this is something that is on your heart to do, if you know that you want to go out and help women in the community, it's time to get that application submitted. No more waiting. And so the first step is submitting your application. Once you submit your application, the most frequent question I get asked all the time is how long does it take for approval? I've seen 6 to 9 months on the normal scale. I've also seen 12 months, right? So it just depends on how well your application is put together. It depends on who you get. It depends on a lot of different things as to how long it's going to take to get your application approved. And then also there is a site visit. So I get that asked that question a lot too. I think I'm going to put together a frequently asked question list for the school app. I get asked a lot, do I have to have an office? What is this site visit like? So many different questions about the approval process, but it could take 6 to 9 months to wait for that approval. In the meantime, while you're waiting 6 to 9 months, like I said earlier, what are you going to be doing? You can be generating income while you're waiting for your approval. And I'm going to talk about that in just a minute. So make sure that you are paying attention because you don't want to miss that. So smart providers don't wait, they earn and learn at the same time. So let's talk about this income potential. So again, we talked about, and I know it's not in order. I just like to talk about it this way. Subcontractor, I talk about first because again, that's you working under somebody else. So your first month, depending on if you're being coached or if you're doing this out of all of this is based on your efforts and if you're working with somebody to help you build and grow this business. And so your first month can be anywhere from $1 to $2,000 because again, you're not getting the full amount, you're getting a percentage of the work done because you're actually working under somebody else in their business. By month three, building your income, you can be making anywhere between 3 to 5K, and then by the end of the year, I would say more on the 8K, but that's if you're working full time. That there's no way that you can do that part time. That's working full time, and some other things in there which I'll talk about on the next session. Yeah, how do you make income that way? And so the next one is solo provider. Again, that's you working, you own the agency, you make 100% of what you do. It's yours. And so month one, coming at the gate, you're looking at 2 to 3,000. Month three, 5K to 8K. And then month 12, 12K to 15K. Those are definitely all possible. I talked about in the last session how when I first opened my business, I was still working a 9 to 5. And I built my business, and I didn't quit my job until I made more than what I was making at my job, and I had a certain amount of money saved. Then lastly is agency owner path. You're looking at 4 to 6K a month right out the gate if you have your contractors. Month three, 10 to 15K, and then month 12, 25 to 40K. And I'm gonna show you guys how that math is done. So, um, yeah, do me a favor for those that are here. So if you're watching the replay, you don't get to put your numbers in. You should have made it to the live. Do me a favor if somebody can give me in the first year, or let's even just say the first 6 months, how much would you want to make in your first 6 months of opening up your PNCC agency? If somebody can quickly put that in the chat. And let's do some math to show you how to make that happen. Switching screens. Give me 1 second. So I mean like not a month. Okay, but in 6 months total, what would that look like for you? So, Raina, are you saying in the 6 month period you want to make 15K a month or 15K for the total of the 6 months? Okay, well we can play around with that first. We'll around with that first. So Raina said 15K, which is 15,000. Y'all, I'm on my mouse, so if it look ugly, I apologize. So 15,000 in 6 months, which means that is, let me pull out my calculator. That's 2,500 a month. Um, it's reasonable. But I'll show you how you can definitely make more than that. So you're looking at 2,500 a month. So 2,500 a month is really if you were working under somebody, not necessarily you have your own agency, right? So because by month three, remember, even as a solopreneur or a solo provider, you can by month three you could be making 8,000 a month. So definitely by month six you could be making more than you'll be past 15,000. But that's fine. We'll start with this, right? And so you're looking at 2,500 a month because the first I want to make sure that your business covering your bills, not even the bills of the business, your personal bills. And we know that $2,500 for some people is rent or mortgage, and that's it. So, but we'll start with this, right? So you're looking at 2,500 monthly, which means, so I got numbers right here, 400, 450. We'll get to this in a little bit. But let's just say for PNCC, this is an average. There's so much that goes into this number, and I get into that when I actually teach the class on profit. But 400, let's just say, is an average because it depends on so many factors like how many months is she when you get her, how much work needs to be done, how many risk factors, like so much that goes into that. So, but I just have an average right here of 400. And so if you have 2,500 in a month, and we know on average you can make $400 per client, you're looking at about 7 clients a month. So that's why that's kind of on the low end because if you're working your business, you'll definitely have more than 7 clients. But this is like on the low end, 7 clients a month will get you 2,500 a month and get you to that 15K in your first 6 months. Now, let's do I say 6 months, 6 figures in 6 months, but that's not everybody's goal. But I'm gonna do that just first or a second, and then we'll do another number. So let's go back to, let's say your goal is 6 figures in 6 months. And I say that because I help somebody do that. And so if your goal is 100K in 6 months, that is, we divide that by six. That's about 17K a month. Okay. And let's say if it's your 17,000 a month and you got 400 clients, I mean, you got 400 per client, you're looking at about 43 clients a month. Now, as a solopreneur and as a I keep saying solopreneur because there is a solopreneur, but solo provider. As a solo provider, we know that you wouldn't be able to do this because a solo provider is just you. There's no way that you could service 43 clients a month at an average of $400. Like there, that is just physically impossible, right? Also, as a subcontractor, there's no way that this could happen because you're making a percentage. So even if you did bring in 17K, you're making maybe 20 to 25% of this a month. So you're not making 100% of that. So there's no way as a solo provider, oh, yeah, solo provider, I said it right, and a subcontractor that you can do this. But now, if you were an agency owner, there is a way that you could do this. You could be a contractor or not, but let's just say, I always tell people on average, I would say between 20 to 25 clients max. You shouldn't, you yourself or any of your contractors, nobody should have more than 25. 30 is pushing it, but let's just say 20 to 25 max is how many clients a person should work with to make sure that you're fully supporting each mom. This is not like where you have a caseload of 100 and you just touch them a little bit. No, this is a whole different type of relationship. Like I just said in the beginning, what if you would have had a mom like the mother who was just in the news, who was homeless, her and her, I can't remember if it was her boyfriend or her husband, was sleeping in a car and the kids were in the storage unit. Like that takes a special kind of attention. You can't just touch a little bit and keep going. And so another story that I gave one of my classes, what about the mom who went had a mental breakdown and did something to her child? I believe I can't remember the whole story because I talked about it a while ago. It was in the news. And so every time I come across any of those stories where it deals with the mom and a baby, I'm like, that could have been a PNCC client. And so you can't service 43 clients well. It's hard to even service 30 clients well, and they all have different situations. So, say that to say that 43 clients, you might want to spread that around maybe three three contractors. So let's say if you did have three contractors and everybody has, let me get this. Let me get the calculator out. What does that look like? Okay, everybody has, I thought it was this. Everybody has about 15 clients. And you got three contractors. That could be you, that could not be you, but you hired three people. Now you're looking at that's 45 clients. Now, again, this is monthly for the first 6 months. At 45 clients a month for 6 months, that is 18,000 a month, which then gives you for the 6 months $108,000. So that's how that math works. Making the money is easy. You just have to kind of work backwards to see how many people do you have to hire to make this number happen. If you have three contractors, and let's just say you don't want to be the um, program manager, you could have one program manager, right? And they can either oversee these three, or they can be the fourth, or they can be the third contractor also working with clients. So let's just say, you know what, that's too many. I don't think I want to do 100K in 6 months. Let's just say, let's go back and say 50,000. It's literally the same math. So 50,000 in the first 6 months, how much is that a month? That's about 8,000 a month. It's a little bit over 8,000, but I'm gonna just say 8,000 a month. So at 8,000 a month, I like to keep whole numbers to make it easy. And we're making 400 per client. That's 20 clients. We just said one contractor can work with 20 to 25. 20 to 25. clients. So that would be one contractor or two contractors, right? Or just you, or just you. So if you yourself as a solopreneur provider, so as a solo provider, you can make this in the first 6 months. As an agency owner, you can make this in the first 6 months. So that would be completely up to you and whatever your goal is. So this is the first 6 months. Now, by month six, and you're open, you can now add CCC. The first couple of months, once you're approved, you can't do CCC until you go and apply to bring CCC into your company. And so now you're at month six, you get the approval to go ahead and add CCC in. Now you're looking at 450 a month up until that child turns 7. So now you're working with mom for 7 years for some, because sometimes they go have another baby, or if you help them well, maybe they don't even they're not even on state insurance anymore because they, got a career, et cetera, et cetera. So you're working with the mom up to the child turns 7 at 450 a month. So now, again, same math. You're still, let's say the next 6 months, you still do this 50K with 20 clients, and now you can add CCC. Let's say you go and then get a 20 clients for CCC, 20 clients at 450. That's 9,000 a month. For the next 6 months, that's 54,000. So that's for the first 6 months. This is for, or the first 6 months of adding CCC. This is the first 6 months of just PNCC. This is the second 6 months for PNCC if you stay consistent. Now you're looking at 154,000 in your first year. Now, as a solopreneur, no, you wouldn't be able to do this because that's 20 clients and another 20 clients, that's 40 clients. So you would have to hire somebody to be able to turn these numbers out. Does that make sense? Let me know if that makes sense. Want to make sure I'm not losing anybody. So when the first example, when you gave the 15,000, you can do that whether you were a contractor, solo provider, or an agency. But if you want to do more, even at 50K in the first 6 months, you can do this as a solo provider or an agency. And then again, 100K, whether it's the year or because you could do 100K in a year, right? Because we said the first 6 months, just you, 20 clients, and then you add that other 6 months, just you, it's another 50, that's 100K. So I did that. My first year, I did make 100K, and it was just me. I didn't hire anybody until my second year in business. So I just wanted to go and do that math with you. I don't think that this business is all about the money, but I do think in order to run a healthy business, you need to make money because you're in business to make money. That's just what it is. We do have a passion to help the women in the community, but we also have to make sure we pay our bills. We also have to make sure that whatever programming we do, we can operate our business. And so is this 100K profit that goes into your pocket? No, of course not, because you have business bills. But this is just starting off 100K gross into your business. All right, let's go back to the slides. So we talked about that window of when you submit that application, what are you doing? And so the truth is, you need to be setting up systems. You need to be like finding out or creating relationships so that you could get referrals. There's so much that you should be doing in that 6 to 9 months to make sure that when you do get that approval, you'll hit the ground running, right? And so their referral is a numbers game. Not everybody you go and talk to is going to say yes. That's just in business, period. Not every parent that comes to your childcare facility is going to enroll their child. Not every patient, if you're a nurse or doctor, that comes into your office for the first visit is going to stay your patient. So we know that to go out there and have good numbers in building relationships, it's about making sure you're making the right connections. So going out there building strong relationships, and just not stopping at one or two or three or four or five. Like you have to go out there and grind to make these relationships. And then focusing on the right providers, like the right people to, and not even people, businesses to create the referral relationship. So I don't think that I would probably want to go to, let's say maybe I mean, the Boys and Girls Club could work, but just lack for a better, like I don't have a better example right now, but let's just say the Boys and Girls Club, they service youth. And so if I'm servicing pregnant moms, I might not find a lot of pregnant moms at the Boys and Girls Club. You might, but I wouldn't say that that is a quality lead, that that is a quality place to go and get pregnant women. Now, if I go and connect with a OBGYN, that's a perfect referral relationship because that's who they service, right? Or thinking about if you choose to, you want to work with teen moms. Well, where are teen moms? They're in high school or they're in college, depending on like, because 18, 19. I was a 19-year-old pregnant woman and I didn't have my daughter till I was 20, but I was 19 in college and pregnant. And so maybe if that's your target audience, then you should be going to schools and colleges to set up a relationship for receiving referrals. So, knowing who to go talk to, knowing what makes sense, making sure that you are professional in your communication, making sure that you are approaching your business as a real business. All of this is important if you're going to go and set up these systems and set up relationships so that it's not going to be pulling teeth in your first 6 months to get going. So this is how, that's why that waiting time is important. This is how you can get to 6 months and six figures in 6 months when you open because you did all the work during the waiting process. So, just talked about that, the SMART strategy, build referral relationships during the wait, having your systems set up. So, how are they going to go and fill out paperwork as far as like, are they coming to your website? Are they answering certain questions? How do they then go to and become a client? What's the workflow? What's the email messaging that goes out to them? When are you going to call them? When do you go and set up the home? Like, all of these things need to be in place in the beginning and not starting to think about that once you're actually open. And then having your intake forms, understanding the care plans, knowing what to give these women once you understand what their risk factors are. So the learning process should be during the wait, not when you actually get open. So again, if you guys have questions, feel free to put them in the messenger. If you are watching this as a replay, make sure, I mean, you can send messages, put it in the community chat, or you can send me a message on school or Facebook, and I'll make sure I get back to you. So we're coming to the end. The biggest mistake that, again, I've seen people make, we talked about this 2 days ago, is that they wait. They wait, they wait, they wait. They push their timing back. You could be a lot of women that I've talked to last year could be open right now. Women that I talked to in 2021 who still to this day did not open, but they still come and ask questions. They could have been open for 4 years by now and could be making multiple six figures. Like you're sitting on your potential. And again, your clientele, they're waiting for you. And I talked about this 2 days ago. Who you can reach, I might not be able to reach. Who I was able to reach, you might not be able to reach. I got a question. Are you able to bill for clients without Medicaid approval? No, I mean you can if you go out and set a relationship up with their insurance, but PNCC is specifically for Medicaid clients. So whether they have straight Title 19, which if they do, you would then help them pick an insurance provider, or any of the, I think right now is 6 or 7 insurance companies that offer Medicaid to clients. So they have to have Medicaid though to do this program. Now you could take private pay, but that's based on your own internal policies, not anything associated with Medicaid or PNCC. So every month that you postpone, you are pushing your time back. You're delaying your first Medicaid payment, and also you're risking changes to the program. I talk about this often where people before 2023 was working wanted to work with me and they never got across to put in their application, and then they saw that things changed and then they no longer qualified because they made some major changes in 2023. And so if this is something that you really want to do, you want to make sure that you are not delaying. I am here to help. I try to have a package at every price point so that people can get started, so people can get moving, and not knowing is no longer an issue because whatever you don't know, more than likely I know, and I'm here as a resource. So time is your most valuable asset in this business. So no more waiting. This is where confusion ends and clarity begins. Like I just said, I am here. I am a wealth of knowledge. I've been doing PNCC for 15 years now. Like I said, I came into the program when I was pregnant with my third daughter. She is now 14. And so I've seen this program evolve. I've seen the scandals. I've seen almost everything that has happened with this program. I'm actually going to do some YouTube videos in the near future on how to avoid fraud, how to, just a day in a life, like a lot of different videos so that people are fully aware of how to do this program. Where can you find the packages? Um, in the school, are you in the school app? I'm going to be adding the packages in the school app, but if you go to the school app and look at the classroom, all my packages are there. There is a freshman class, sophomore class, junior class, senior class. Then there is a membership. There is, and I think there's something else. I can't remember. And so you'll see, I'm gonna put the prices in there, but you'll see every package there. Again, we take payment plan, we do financing through Klarna, Affirm, um, but also, if you are interested in like the freshman class and sophomore class and things like that, there is a form that is in the school app for people who are serious. Once you fill that out, we'll look over your application and tell you what's the best next step, and then also send a video to you. Okay. And so freshman level is pretty much the application academy, which I talk about here. Sophomore level is once you submit your application, what are we doing in the wait? And so that's building your systems, building your relationships with referrals, etc. So that's sophomore year. Junior year is actually learning the entire program, how to do billing, how to, do all the forms. We talk about HIPAA, we talk about all those different things. And then senior year is like a master class, not a master class, a mastermind. It involves a retreat. It involves scaling your business to 6 and 7 figures the right way. All of that. Yeah. So I truly set this up like a university to walk people through every level because I've seen people make mistakes, and not that they made them intentionally, but there's really no training out here on PNCC. So I stepped in to where that what that's not there, and I created it. So yeah, confusion ends, clarity begins. This is where everybody start at the Application Academy. Instead of spending months piecing together incomplete information and unreliable sources, because again, there's a lot of myths out there, misinformation. Everything that I teach, I don't just say it. I show you where it is in the handbook. I show you where it is in state legislation. Even in the Application Academy, there is a lesson that I go over on making sure that you understand the laws that surround PNCC. Why do we do what we do based on what the law says? So I do, maybe I should call that like Law 101 or something. But anyway, that's important to know if you're going to run this business. And that is also how you make sure you avoid fraud. There's a video that I will be coming out with shortly. If any of you watch the news, or like I said in the beginning, pay attention to the news, somebody just was found guilty of 17 counts of PNCC fraud. So we don't want that to be you. And so I teach my students how to avoid fraud, how to avoid what looks like fraud, how to avoid fraud in general. We don't want any fraud going on, but how do we make sure it doesn't even look like fraud? What do you receive in the academy? Step-by-step support, checklists, worksheets, and guided sessions, referral scripts, templates. We meet every week. It is a 30-day class. There you watch different videos. I teach you live. You have homework. Every week we come back and it's just like it's pretty much class. It's pretty much school. At some point, I hope to be able to give like certificates for this because I really go in depth in teaching. Again, this is 15 years of experience. This is being trained by auditors. Not too many people can say they were actually trained by an auditor because they stopped doing that over 10 years ago. Um, I make sure that you understand every piece of the application, every part of the program. Like I go over, I'm very thorough. Sometimes we're meeting for 2 hours, depending on questions. Sometimes it's an hour, but I make sure we don't leave until everybody have their questions based on whatever we just talked about for that week. So you won't leave not knowing. What happens after academy completion? I very rarely have I had people deny when they follow what I did or what I tell them to do, unless they've lied, because I've definitely had that happen before. Somebody got denied because she lied. They do check your application, okay? You can't just say anything. You can't just say you have certain experience and you don't because they check. And so you can submit your application with confidence. You can start serving clients right away. People that are in my university, I give you the opportunity to be able to start working with clients during your wait. So not only will you be building systems and building, referral relationships, you'll actually start working with clients too. And so that's only for people who are actually in my university. So, and the reason I did that is because 6 to 9 months is a long way to wait. Like that's a long time. And so what can we do in the meantime? I like for you to learn what I'm telling you, like do what I'm telling you and learn it by actually doing it. So our next class starts November 3rd. There are only 10 seats available. I only take 10 people at a time because everybody gets my undivided attention. I think if we ever had more than 10, we would probably be there way longer than 2 hours because again, I take questions and make sure everybody understand. So it's only 10 seats available. Why is the wait so lengthy? Very good. That is up to the state. That I believe it's almost the same thing as childcare. So I believe childcare has that same time frame or like something like that. So that is out of my control. All I do is can help you submit your application. How long they take to actually go through the material, it could depend on how much staff they have, how many applications were submitted, so many different factors. But years ago, it used to only take 3 months. The big beautiful bill, so many people hate it, but it actually will do some good for this program. They're supposed to get funding to hire more people to be able to speed the process up of people being approved. That's what's supposed to happen. But we'll see. So yeah, I have no say so on who people are assigned to, what your auditor is going to ask for. I'm just prepared. I haven't seen an auditor ask for anything that we were not prepared for. Because again, I actually been coaching for 8 years. So I've been in PNCC for 15, but I've been coaching for 8 years. So I've seen a lot over the past year. So yeah. If you are interested, make sure that you go to the school app and fill out that form to say that you are interested in joining the academy. Like I said, payment plan is available. Financing is available through Klarna and Affirm. I want to say Clear or Afterpay. I believe that's on there too. So enrollment is limited, so don't wait. Let's see. Any questions? If you are serious about joining or opening your PNCC agency, again, fill out that questionnaire. You will get the next session where it's an invite only and it's only for people who fill out that form. And you're going to get the next video. And that's going to really help you learn how to scale this business. We're going to talk about strategies, techniques to build. Because again, you saw that there is a way for you to start building in the weight. We're going to talk a little bit more about that.